Story Scrolls. Classic stories, faithfully told. Journey to the West. Original text, modern English. Chapter 1. From the primordial root, life is born. Through the cultivation of the mind, the great way emerges. The poem says, before chaos split, heaven and earth were in turmoil, vast and formless, seen by no one. Then Pangu broke the primal veil, and from that moment, clear and heavy were divided. Heaven and earth embraced all living beings, and from this, all things came forth in harmony. To understand the workings of creation and cosmic cycles, one must read Journey to the West, the tale of deliverance from calamity. It is said that the cycles of heaven and earth move in great periods. One complete cosmic cycle lasts art years, called 1 UN. Each UN is divided into 12 phases, named after the 12 earthly branches: Zi, Chou, Yin, Mao, Qian, Si, Wu, Wei, Shen, You, Xu, and Hai. Each phase lasts 18 years. If we compare this to a single day, at Zi, yang energy is born. At Chou, the rooster crows. At Yin, light has not yet broken through. At Mao, the sun rises. At Qian, people eat. At Si, the day advances. At Wu, the sun stands at its peak. At Wei, it begins to decline. At Shen, afternoon arrives. At You, the sun sets. At Xu, dusk falls. At Hai, all is quiet and people rest. In the greater cycle, when the phase of Xu comes to an end, heaven and earth grow dim, and all things wither. Another Y, Sibai years pass, and the phase of Hai begins. Darkness reigns, and nothing exists between heaven and earth. This is called chaos. After another Y, Sibai years, as the Hai phase nears its end, a new beginning stirs, approaching the phase of Zi, and light slowly returns. The sage Shaoyang wrote, at the winter solstice, halfway through Zi, the heart of heaven remains unchanged. When the first spark of yang begins to move, all things are still unborn. At this moment, heaven first takes root. After another 5,400 years, during the Z phase, the light and pure rise upward, and the sun, moon, stars, and constellations come into being. These are called the four celestial forms. Thus it is said, heaven opens in Z. Another 5,400 years pass. As Z ends and Chou approaches, things grow solid. The Book of Changes says, great is the creative power of heaven. Great is the receptive power of earth. All things are born from them and follow the will of heaven. At this point, earth begins to take shape. After another 5,400 years, in the Chou phase, the heavy and turbid sink downward, forming water, fire, mountains, stone, and soil, the 5 elements of form. Thus it is said, earth opens in Chou. Another 5,400 years pass. As Chou ends and Yin begins, all things begin to grow. The ancient calendar says, heavenly energy descends, earthly energy rises. When heaven and earth unite, all beings are born. Now heaven is clear and earth is firm. Yin and Yang are in harmony. After another 5,400 years, in the yin phase, humans are born, along with beasts and birds. Thus heaven, earth, and humanity take their places. The three powers are established. Therefore it is said, human life is born in yin. Moved by Pangu's creation of the world, by the rule of the three sovereigns, and the order set by the five emperors, the world is divided into four great continents: East Victory Divine Continent, West Ox-Gift Continent, South Jambudvipa, and North Kuru. This book speaks only of East Victory Divine Continent. Beyond the seas lies a land called Aolai Country. Near its shores stands a famous mountain, known as Flower and Fruit Mountain. It is the ancestral peak of 10 continents, the source ridge of 3 sacred isles, formed when clarity and turbidity first separated, shaped after chaos was divided. Truly, it is a magnificent mountain. A rhapsody bears witness. The rhapsody says, its power steadies the vast ocean. Its majesty calms the jade-green seas. Silver tides surge like mountains. Fish dart into hidden depths. Snowy waves roll. Sea dragons rise and fall. Where water and fire divide their realms, a towering peak rises from the eastern sea. Crimson cliffs and strange rocks, sheer walls and wondrous peaks. Phoenixes sing in pairs upon red crags. A lone qilin rests before the cliffs. Golden pheasants cry from mountaintops. Dragons enter and leave the stone caves. In the forests roam immortal deer and foxes. In the trees perch sacred birds and dark-feathered cranes. Magic grasses and rare flowers never fade. Green pines and cypress remain ever spring. Peaches of immortality bear fruit year after year. Slender bamboo traps drifting clouds. Vines crowd deep ravines. Fresh grass surrounds the plains. Here stand the pillars where rivers meet the sky, the earth's root, unmoved through countless ages. At the very summit of this mountain stood a divine stone. It measured 3 jang, 6 qi, and 5 kun in height, and 2 jang and 4 qi in circumference, numbers corresponding to the days of the year and the 24 solar periods. It had 9 openings and 8 hollows, matching the 9 palaces and 8 trigrams. No trees shaded it on any side, yet orchids and sacred grasses grew nearby. Since the dawn of creation, it absorbed the pure essence of heaven and earth, the brilliance of sun and moon. After ages of this influence, it awakened to spiritual awareness. Within it formed a celestial embryo. One day, the stone split open and produced a stone egg, round as a ball. Touched by the wind, it transformed into a stone monkey with complete features and fully formed limbs. He immediately learned to crawl and walk and bowed to the 4 directions. From his eyes shot 2 beams of golden light, piercing straight into the palaces of the stars. The disturbance reached the Jade Emperor, the great and compassionate supreme ruler of heaven. Seated in the golden palace of clouds, within the hall of divine radiance, he summoned the assembled immortals. Seeing flames of golden light blazing below, he ordered 1,000-mile eye and wind-following ear to open the southern heavenly gate and investigate. The 2 generals obeyed at once. They went outside, saw clearly, and heard everything. Before long, they returned to report. By your Majesty's command, we observed the source of the golden light. It comes from the eastern seas of the Eastern Victory Divine Continent, within the borders of the small coastal kingdom of Aolai. There stands a mountain called Flower and Fruit Mountain. On its summit is a divine stone. The stone produced an egg which, when touched by the wind, transformed into a stone monkey. There it bows to the four directions, and beams of golden light shoot from its eyes straight into the palaces of the stars. Now it feeds on fruit and spring water, and the golden light is gradually fading. The Jade Emperor responded with benevolent calm. Such things below are born of the pure essence of heaven and earth. There is nothing unusual in this. Meanwhile, the monkey lived among the mountains. It learned to walk and leap, fed on grasses and trees, drank from mountain streams, gathered flowers and searched for fruit. Wolves and insects were its companions, tigers and leopards its neighbors. Deer were its friends, and gibbons its kin. At night it slept beneath rocky cliffs. By day it wandered among peaks and caves. Truly, as the saying goes, in the mountains there is no calendar. When winter ends, no one knows how many years have passed. One day, the weather grew hot. The monkey and the other monkeys gathered under the shade of pine trees to escape the heat and play. Look at them all. Some leaped through branches and climbed trees, picking flowers and fruit. Some tossed pebbles and played games. Some ran through sandy hollows or piled sand into little towers. Some chased dragonflies or tried to catch cicadas. Some pointed to the sky or bowed in mock prayer. Some pulled vines and wove grass mats. Some caught lice, pinched and scratched. Some groomed their fur or trimmed their nails. They bumped into one another, rubbed past each other, pushed, pulled, grabbed, and laughed. Playing freely beneath green pines, washing and splashing by clear mountain streams. After playing for a while, the troop went down to the ravine to bathe. They saw the stream rushing fast, tumbling and splashing like rolling melons. As the ancients say, birds have bird speech, beasts have beast speech. The monkeys began talking among themselves. "We don't know where this water comes from. Today we have nothing else to do. Why don't we follow the stream uphill and find its source, just for fun?" With a shout, they all set off, dragging wives, calling children, shouting to brothers and cousins, running together along the stream, climbing the mountain, until they reached the source. A soaring waterfall, a flying spring pouring down from above. They saw that. A single arc of white light rose skyward. 1,000 fathoms of snowy spray leapt into the air. Sea winds could never break its flow. River moonlight shone on it, steady and unchanged. Cold mist split the green mountain peaks. Leftover streams nourished emerald hills. They call it a waterfall, this murmuring cascade. Truly like a curtain of water hanging in mid-air. The monkeys clapped their hands and shouted in praise. "Wonderful water! Wonderful water!" So this place connects far beneath the mountain, running straight to the waves of the open sea. Then they said, "Whoever has the skill to go inside, find the source, and come back without harm, we will make him our king." They cried this out 3 times. Suddenly, from the thick brush, a stone monkey leapt forth and shouted, "I'll go in! I'll go in!" What a monkey indeed! And so it was. Today his name would rise to fame, his fortune turning at just the right time. By destiny he came to this place, a king chosen, sent toward a realm of wonders. The monkey closed his eyes, crouched low, and with a single leap jumped straight into the waterfall. Suddenly he opened his eyes and lifted his head. Inside, there was no water at all, no waves, no spray, only bright clarity, and right before him, a bridge. He steadied himself and looked more closely. It was an iron-plated stone bridge. The water rushed beneath it through hidden rock channels, falling backward like a hanging curtain, sealing the entrance behind it. He bent forward, stepped onto the bridge, and walked on, looking about. It looked just like a human dwelling, truly a fine place. He saw this: green moss piled like blue silk, white clouds drifting like jade, light shimmering through mist and glow. Empty windows, quiet rooms, smooth stone benches polished bright. Pearl-like drops clung to rocky hollows, strange flowers coiled across the ground. By the cliff stood a stove with traces of old fires. By the table, cups and jars with scraps of food. Stone seats and stone beds were charming indeed. Stone basins and bowls even more so. Here, 1 or 2 stalks of slender bamboo. There, 3 or 5 blossoms of plum. Several pines stood green, always damp with mist. Altogether, it looked just like a home. After looking for a long while, he jumped to the middle of the bridge and looked around. There, at the very center, stood a stone tablet. On it were carved large, formal characters. A blessed land of flower and fruit mountain, the water curtain cave, a heaven within heaven. The stone monkey was overjoyed. He quickly turned and rushed back out, closed his eyes, crouched low, and leapt out through the waterfall. Landing outside, he laughed twice and cried, "What a marvel! What a marvel!" The monkeys crowded around him and asked, "What was it like inside? How deep is the water?" "No water at all," the stone monkey replied. "There's an iron stone bridge, and beyond it, a home shaped by heaven and earth itself." "How can you tell it's a home?" the monkeys asked. The stone monkey laughed and said, "The water flows beneath the bridge, pouring down backward to form the curtain that seals the entrance. Beside the bridge are flowers and trees, and beyond it, stone rooms. Inside are stone nests, stone stoves, stone bowls, stone basins, stone beds, and stone stools. In the center stands a stone tablet carved with the words, 'A blessed land of flower and fruit mountain, the water curtain cave, a heaven within heaven.' It is truly a place for us to live. Inside it is spacious enough to hold hundreds, even thousands, young and old alike. If we all move in together, we won't have to suffer from the harsh winds and weather anymore. For inside that place, when the wind blows, there is shelter. When rain falls, there is refuge. Frost and snow bring no fear. Thunder is never heard. Mists and glowing clouds shine all year. Auspicious vapors rise again and again. Pines and bamboo flourish year after year. Rare flowers bloom fresh every day." The monkeys were delighted when they heard this. All of them cried out, "You go first! Lead us inside! Take us in!" The stone monkey closed his eyes, crouched down, and leapt inside again, calling, "Follow me in! Come in!" The braver monkeys jumped in at once. The timid ones stretched their necks forward, then pulled back. They scratched their ears and cheeks, shouted loudly, hesitated for a while, and finally followed inside as well. Once across the bridge, chaos broke out. They grabbed bowls and snatched basins, claimed stoves and fought over beds, dragging things here and moving them there. Such is the restless nature of monkeys. Not one of them could stay still. Only when they were exhausted in body and spirit did they finally stop. Then the stone monkey sat upright above them and said, My friends, it is said, a man without trust is nothing. You promised that whoever could go in and come out unharmed would be made king. I have gone in and out freely, discovered this wondrous cave for you all, and given you a safe place to live and sleep in peace. Why do you not make me your king?" The monkeys agreed at once without objection. They bowed low, arranged themselves by age and rank, and paid homage, all shouting, "Long live the great king!" From that day on, the stone monkey ascended the throne. He dropped the word stone from his name and was henceforth known as the Monkey King. The poem bears witness. When three vital forces unite, all life is born. The immortal stone holds the essence of sun and moon. From egg to monkey, the great way is fulfilled. Borrowed form and name complete the alchemical truth. Looking within, form is unseen. Looking without, form takes shape. Through every age, all beings follow this path. Kings and sages rise and roam as fate allows. The Monkey King led a host of apes, macaques, and gibbons, assigning ranks of ruler and minister. By day, they roamed Flower and Fruit Mountain. By night, they slept in the water-curtain cave. United in spirit and purpose, they kept apart from birds and beasts, ruled themselves alone, and lived in unbroken joy. Thus, in spring they drank from 100 blossoms. In summer they lived on every kind of fruit. In autumn they gathered taro and chestnuts. In winter they fed on herbs to pass the year. The Monkey King enjoyed this carefree happiness for 300 to 500 years. One day, during a joyful feast with the monkeys, he suddenly grew troubled and burst into tears. Alarmed, the monkeys knelt and asked, "Why is our king so distressed?" The Monkey King replied, "Even in happiness, I carry a distant worry. That is why I am troubled." The monkeys laughed and said, "Our king truly lacks nothing. We live each day in joy, in a blessed land of immortals. No Qilin rules us, no phoenix governs us, and no human king binds us with laws. Free and at ease, this is limitless fortune. Why worry at all?" The Monkey King answered, "Today we are free from human law and unafraid of beasts. But one day, when age comes and blood runs thin, the Lord of Death will claim us in secret. When death arrives, will we not have lived in vain, unable to remain long among the beings of heaven?" At these words, the monkeys covered their faces and wept, all fearing the certainty of death. Then, from among them, a long-armed ape leapt out and shouted, "If the great king worries about this, it means his heart has awakened to the way. Among all living creatures, there are only 3 kinds not governed by the Lord of Death." The Monkey King asked, "Which 3?" The ape replied, "Buddhas, immortals, and divine sages. They escape the cycle of rebirth, neither born nor dying, and live as long as heaven, earth, mountains, and rivers." "Where do they dwell?" the Monkey King asked. "They live within the world of mortals," said the ape, "in ancient caves and sacred mountains." Hearing this, the Monkey King was filled with joy. "Tomorrow," he declared, "I will take leave of you all and descend the mountain. I will roam to the ends of the seas and the far edges of the earth, determined to find these beings and learn the art of eternal life, to escape forever the grasp of the Lord of Death." Ah! With these words, he leapt beyond the net of reincarnation, and set in motion the rise of the great sage equal to heaven. The monkeys clapped and cried, "Excellent, excellent! Tomorrow we will cross the hills and gather fruits and hold a great banquet to send our king on his way." The next day, the monkeys gathered immortal peaches and rare fruits, dug mountain yams and yellow essence roots. Fragrant orchids, sacred grasses, and wondrous flowers were collected and laid out neatly on stone tables and stools, along with divine wines and dishes. Behold, golden fruits like pearls and pellets, red and yellow, bursting with ripeness. Preserved cherries, rich in color and sweetness. Ripe plums, fragrant and tart. Fresh longans, sweet flesh and thin skins. Fiery lychees, small pits and crimson flesh. Green crab apples offered on their branches. Loquats held up with leaves attached. Pear-shaped pears and date-like jujubes, quenching thirst and clearing the mind. Fragrant peaches and soft apricots, sweet as jade nectar and divine wine. Crisp plums and bayberries, sour and rich like cream and butter. Ripe watermelons split with black seeds showing. Great persimmons with golden skins. Pomegranates burst open, revealing ruby crystals. Taro and chestnuts split to show golden, jade-like flesh. Walnuts and ginkgo served with tea. Coconuts and grapes made into wine. Hazelnuts, pine nuts, and oranges filled the trays. Tangerines and sugarcane crowded the tables. Mountain yams slowly roasted, yellow essence gently boiled. Poria and kwa ground and simmered in stone pots. Though the human world boasts rare delicacies, none can match the peace and joy of mountain monkeys. The monkeys seated the Monkey King in the place of honor. Arranged by age and rank below him, they took turns offering wine, flowers, and fruit, drinking deeply and celebrating for the entire day. The next morning, the Monkey King rose early and gave orders.
"Little ones, break some dead pine branches for me. Bind them into a raft. Get a bamboo pole for a punt, and gather some fruit and supplies. I am leaving."
He boarded the raft alone, pushed off with all his strength, and drifted lightly across the waves. Riding the wind, he headed straight out into the open sea, crossing toward the lands of southern Jambudvipa. And so he went, heaven-born monkey, great in the way, leaving the mountain, riding a raft on the wind, crossing seas in search of the immortal path, firm in resolve to achieve a mighty task. With fate and affinity, he leaves worldly wishes behind. Free of care, he seeks the primal truth. Surely he will meet one who understands him and have the source of all teachings revealed. His luck had truly turned. From the moment he stepped onto the raft, strong southeast winds blew day after day, carrying him to the northwest shore, the borders of southern Jambudvipa. He tested the water with his pole, found it shallow, abandoned the raft, and leapt ashore. Along the coast, he saw people fishing, hunting geese, digging clams, and evaporating salt. He walked up to them, played a few tricks, and disguised himself as a fierce tiger. Terrified, the people dropped their baskets and nets and ran in all directions. He caught one who couldn't run, stripped off his clothes, and learned to wear them himself. Swaying and swaggering, he passed through towns and cities, learning human manners and speech in the marketplaces. By day he ate, by night he found shelter. All the while, his heart was set on one goal: to seek the way of Buddhas, immortals, and divine sages, and to find a method of eternal life. But everywhere he looked, people chased fame and profit. Not one truly cared about life and death itself. Just as the verse says, "When will the struggle for fame and gain ever end? Rising early, sleeping late, no freedom at all. Riding donkeys, dreaming of fine horses, prime ministers still longing to be kings. They worry only about food and clothing, never fearing the Lord of Death's summons. Planning wealth for sons and grandsons, not one willing to turn back and reflect." The Monkey King searched for the immortal path, but fate denied him a meeting. In southern Jambudvipa, he traveled along great walls and through small counties. Before he realized it, 8 or 9 years had passed. Then one day, he reached the Western Ocean. He thought to himself, across the seas there must surely be immortals. Once again he built a raft, drifted across the Western Sea, and arrived at the lands of Western Oxgift Continent. After coming ashore, he searched for a long time. At last, he saw a tall and beautiful mountain, its forests deep and quiet. Fearless of wolves, insects, tigers, or leopards, he climbed to the summit to look around. It was indeed a fine mountain. 1,000 peaks stand like spears, 10,000 cliffs open like screens. Sunlight glows through mist, locking emerald hues. After rain, dark greens deepen in the cool air. Thin vines coil around ancient trees. Old paths mark hidden crossings. Rare flowers and auspicious grasses abound, slender bamboo and towering pines. Bamboo and pines stay green for 10,000 years, outshining any blessed land. Flowers and sacred herbs bloom through all seasons, rivaling the isles of immortals. Birds call softly nearby. Springs murmur clear at their source. Valleys fold upon valleys, wrapped in orchids and grasses. Cliffs rise everywhere, coated in moss. The ridges rise and fall like living dragons. Surely a great being hides here, unnamed. As he stood admiring the view, he suddenly heard voices from deep within the forest. Startled, he hurried forward, pushed through the trees, and listened closely. It was the sound of singing. The song went, "Watching chess until axe handles rot, chopping wood, thuk, thuk, walking slowly by cloud-edged valleys, selling firewood, buying wine, laughing wildly, delighting in myself. On pale mountain paths beneath autumn moons, sleeping by pine roots until dawn. Returning to familiar woods, climbing cliffs and crossing ridges, axe in hand, cutting dead vines. Gathering a full bundle, singing through the market, trading it for 3 measures of rice. No quarrels, no competition, prices fair and simple. No schemes or clever plans, no concern for honor or disgrace. Calm and content, I lengthen my days. Where I meet others, they are either immortals or seekers of the way, sitting quietly, discussing the Yellow Court Classic. Look closely at his unusual attire. On his head, he wore a bamboo leaf hat made from the fresh husk of newly sprouted shoots. On his body, coarse cloth garments woven from twisted cotton thread. At his waist hung a simple cord, spun from silk drawn from an old silkworm's mouth. On his feet were straw sandals, plaited from dried rush grass. In his hand, he held a pure steel axe. Over his shoulder, a fire hemp rope. He split pines and chopped dead trees with ease. Who could rival such a woodcutter? The Monkey King stepped forward and called out, "Revered immortal, your disciple greets you." Startled, the woodcutter dropped his axe and turned to return the greeting. "I am no such person. I am no such person," he said hurriedly. "I am a simple man, barely able to feed and clothe myself. How could I dare accept the title of immortal?" The Monkey King replied, "If you are not an immortal, how could you speak immortal words?" "What immortal words did I speak?" asked the woodcutter. "I just arrived at the edge of the forest," said the Monkey King, "and I heard you say, 'Where we meet, it is either an immortal or one of the way, sitting quietly to discuss the Yellow Court.' The Yellow Court is true Taoist teaching. If that is not the speech of an immortal, what is?" The woodcutter laughed. "To tell you the truth, that verse is called Man Ting Fong. It was taught to me by an immortal. That immortal lives near my home. Seeing how hard my family life was and how troubled my days were, he taught me to recite this verse whenever worries arose. First, to clear my mind, and second, to ease my burdens. Today I had some troubles on my mind and was reciting it. I never expected you to hear it." The Monkey King said, "Since your home is next to an immortal's, why don't you follow him and cultivate the way? Learn the secret of eternal youth. Wouldn't that be good?" The woodcutter replied, "My fate has been a hard one. As a child, my parents raised me until I was 8 or 9, when I had just begun to understand the world. Then my father died, leaving my mother a widow. I have no brothers or sisters, only myself. I had no choice but to care for her day and night. Now my mother is old, and I dare not leave her. Our fields lie neglected. Our food and clothing are scarce. I can only cut 2 bundles of firewood each day, carry them to market, sell them for a few coins, buy a few measures of rice, cook our meals, and provide tea and food for my elderly mother. That is why I cannot cultivate the way." The Monkey King said, "Since your home is next to an immortal's, why don't you follow him and cultivate the way? Learn the secret of eternal youth. Wouldn't that be good?" The woodcutter replied, "My fate has been a hard one. As a child, my parents raised me until I was 8 or 9, when I had just begun to understand the world. Then my father died, leaving my mother a widow. I have no brothers or sisters, only myself. I had no choice but to care for her day and night. Now my mother is old, and I dare not leave her. Our fields lie neglected. Our food and clothing are scarce. I can only cut 2 bundles of firewood each day, carry them to market, sell them for a few coins, buy a few measures of rice, cook our meals, and provide tea and food for my elderly mother. That is why I cannot cultivate the way." The Monkey King said, "From what you say, you are a truly filial man. Such virtue will surely bring good fortune in the future. I only ask that you point me to where that immortal lives, so I may go and pay him a visit." The woodcutter replied, "It's not far at all. This mountain is called Spirit Platform, Square Inch Mountain. On it is a cave known as Slanted Moon, 3-Star Cave. Inside lives an immortal named Patriarch Bodhi. He has countless disciples, and even now 30 or 40 still cultivate under him. Follow that small path and go south for 7 or 8 miles, and you'll reach his dwelling." The Monkey King grabbed the woodcutter's hand and said, "Brother, come with me. If I gain any benefit, I will never forget your guidance." The woodcutter shook his head. You truly don't understand circumstances. Haven't I explained everything already? If I went with you, wouldn't that ruin my livelihood? Who would care for my old mother? I must cut firewood. You go on your own. Go on. Hearing this, the Monkey King could only take his leave. He emerged from the deep forest, found the path, crossed a hillside, and after about 7 or 8 miles, he indeed saw a cave dwelling in the distance. Standing tall and looking ahead, he saw at once what a marvelous place it was. He saw mist and rosy clouds scattering their colors, sun and moon casting shifting light, 1,000 ancient cypress trees, 10,000 stalks of slender bamboo. The cypresses rose green and damp with rain. The bamboo glowed dark and lush through drifting mist. Strange flowers embroidered the ground before the gate, while sacred grasses by the bridge released fragrant scent. Rock cliffs jutted steep, moist with green moss. Sheer walls hung high, draped in emerald lichen. At times, the cry of immortal cranes rang out. Often, phoenixes were seen soaring past. When cranes cried, their voices shook distant skies. When phoenixes flew, 5-colored feathers shone in clouded light. Dark apes and white deer appeared and vanished at will. Golden lions and jade elephants roamed freely. Look closely at this blessed land. It truly rivals heaven itself. He then noticed that the cave gate was tightly shut, silent, with no sign of human presence. Turning his head, he saw a stone stele standing atop the cliff, more than 10 feet tall and 8 feet wide. On it were carved 10 large characters: Spirit Platform, Square-Inch Mountain, Slanted Moon, 3-Star Cave. The Monkey King was overjoyed. The people here are truly honest, he said. There really is such a mountain and such a cave. After looking for a long time, he dared not knock on the door. Instead, he leapt onto the branch of a pine tree, picked pine nuts, and played while he waited. After a short while, he heard a creaking sound. The cave gate opened, and an attendant boy stepped out. His bearing was graceful and noble, his appearance pure and refined, clearly no ordinary mortal. He looked like this: twin locks bound in a simple topknot, a loose robe with sleeves that caught the wind, his appearance and body set apart from the world, his mind and form both empty of dust. A long-lived guest beyond all things, an ageless child of the mountains, untouched by even a speck of dust, letting the cycles of time turn freely. The boy called out loudly, "Who is causing a disturbance here?" The Monkey King sprang down from the tree, stepped forward, and bowed. "Immortal attendant, I am a seeker of the way, a student who wishes to learn from the immortals. I would not dare cause trouble here." The boy smiled. "You are here to seek the way?" "Yes," replied the Monkey King. "My master has just taken his seat on the platform to give a lecture," said the boy. "Before explaining the teaching, he sent me out, saying, 'There is a cultivator outside. Go and receive him.' That must be you." The Monkey King laughed. "Yes, it is I." "Follow me," said the boy. The Monkey King straightened his clothing and composed himself, then followed the boy deep into the cave realm. Inside were layer upon layer of quiet halls and jade-like chambers, palace after palace adorned with pearls and shells, far too many tranquil dwellings to describe. At last they reached the foot of a jade terrace. There sat Patriarch Bodhi, upright upon the platform, with 30 young immortals standing in attendance on either side. Truly he was the greatly awakened golden immortal, unstained and pure, Patriarch Bodhi, wondrous form from the West. Beyond birth and death, moving in perfect harmony, complete in spirit and breath, boundless in compassion. In emptiness and stillness, he follows all change. In true suchness, his nature acts freely. Living as long as heaven itself, majestic and whole, an enlightened master who has awakened minds through countless ages. At the sight of the patriarch, the Monkey King threw himself to the ground. He bowed and kowtowed again and again without counting, crying out repeatedly, "Master, Master, your disciple bows with a sincere heart. With a sincere heart I bow." The patriarch said, "Where are you from? First tell me your homeland and your name clearly, then bow again." The Monkey King replied, "I am from the water curtain cave on Flower and Fruit Mountain, in the kingdom of Aulai, on the Eastern Victory Divine Continent." The patriarch suddenly shouted, "Drive him out! He is a deceitful trickster. How could he ever cultivate the way?" Startled, the Monkey King hurriedly kowtowed non-stop, crying, "My words are honest. I speak no falsehood at all." The patriarch said, "If you are honest, how can you claim to be from the Eastern Victory Divine Continent? That land lies beyond 2 great seas and the entire southern Jambudvipa. How could you possibly have reached this place?" The Monkey King bowed and replied, "Your disciple crossed oceans and traveled through many lands. It took me more than 10 years to find this place." The patriarch said, "If you truly came step by step, then so be it. Tell me, what is your surname?" The Monkey King answered, "I have no temper. If people curse me, I do not get angry. If they strike me, I do not feel resentment. I only return a bow. All my life I have had no shing." The patriarch said, "That is not the shing I mean. What was your parents' family name?" The Monkey King replied, "I have no parents." "No parents?" said the patriarch. "Then were you born from a tree?" "I was not born from a tree," said the Monkey King, "but I grew from stone. I only remember that on Flower and Fruit Mountain there was a divine stone. One year it split open, and I was born." Hearing this, the patriarch was secretly pleased. "So," he said, "you were born of heaven and earth themselves. Get up and walk around for me." The Monkey King sprang to his feet and walked back and forth twice, swaying and hopping. The patriarch laughed. "Your body may be crude, but you look like a macaque that feeds on pine nuts. I will take a surname for you from your form. Hu," he continued, "comes from the word for macaque. Remove the animal radical, and what remains is gu and yue. Gu meaning old, yue meaning yin. Old yin cannot give birth, so that will not do. Instead, let us use sun. Remove the animal radical from sun, and what remains is zi and shi. Zi meaning child, shi meaning lineage or connection. This fits the nature of infancy perfectly, so you shall bear the surname Sun." Hearing this, the Monkey King was filled with joy. He bowed deeply and said, "Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful! Today, for the first time, I know that I have a surname. I beg you, Master, in your compassion, since I now have a surname,
Please grant me a given name as well, so that I may be properly called."
The Patriarch said, "My school uses 12 characters, assigned by generation. You belong to the 10th generation of disciples." The Monkey King asked, "What are the 12 characters?" The Patriarch replied, "They are Guang, Da, Zhi, Hui, Jian, Ru, Xing, Hai, Ying, Wu, Yuan, Jue. Your place falls on the character Wu. I give you the Dharma name, Sun Wukong. Is that acceptable?" The Monkey King laughed with delight. "Good, good, good! From this day on, I am called Sun Wukong." And thus, at the birth of chaos, there was no name. To shatter empty illusion, one must awaken to Kong. What kind of path he will cultivate from this point on, and what great attainments he will achieve, that must be told in the next chapter.